Funding for this program is supported by, additional support is provided by this course explores justice, and we begin with a story. Imagine you are the operator of a trolley, and your trolley is racing along the track at 60 miles per hour, and at the end of the track you see 5 workers standing on the rails. You try to stop but you cannot, your brakes have failed. You feel panic because you know that if you collide with these 5 workers they will all die. Let us assume you know this with certainty, and so you feel powerless until you notice that off to the right there is a side track. At the end of that track there is 1 worker standing on the rails. Your steering wheel functions so you can redirect the trolley if you choose onto this side track, killing the 1 but saving the 5. Here is our first question: what is the right thing to do? What would you choose? Let us take a poll. How many would steer the trolley onto the side track? How many would not? How many would continue straight ahead? Keep your hands raised, those of you who would go straight ahead. A small number of people would, the vast majority would turn. Let us hear first. Now we need to start examining the reasons why you believe it is the right thing to do. Let us begin with those in the majority, who would turn onto the side track. Why would you choose it? What would be your reason? Who is willing to share a reason? Go ahead, stand up. Because it cannot be right to allow 5 people to die when you can instead let only 1 person die. It would not be right to let 5 die if you could let 1 person die instead. That is a solid reason. That is a solid reason. Who else? Does everyone agree with that reasoning? Go ahead. Well, I was thinking it is similar to what happened on September 11th attacks. We consider the people who directed the plane into the Pennsylvania field as heroes because they chose to sacrifice those on the plane instead of allowing more people to die in large buildings. So the principle there was the same on September 11th. It was a tragic situation, but better to lose 1 so that 5 may live. Is that the reasoning most of you have, those of you who would turn, yes? Let us now hear from those in the minority, those who would not turn. Well, I think that same kind of thinking is what justifies genocide and totalitarian regimes, where to protect one group you eliminate another. So what would you do in this case? You would, to avoid the horrors of genocide, crash into the 5 and let them die? Presumably yes. Okay, who else? That is a courageous answer, thank you. Let us consider another trolley scenario and see whether those of you in the majority want to stick with the principle, better that 1 should die so that 5 may live. This time you are not the driver of the trolley, you are a bystander standing on a bridge overlooking the track, and down the track comes a trolley. At the end of the track are 5 workers. The brakes have failed. The trolley is about to rush into the 5 and kill them, and now you are not the driver. You feel completely powerless until you notice standing beside you leaning over the bridge is a very heavy man. And you could give him a push. He would fall over the bridge onto the track directly in front of the trolley. He would die, but he would save the 5. Now, how many would push the man off the bridge? Raise your hand. How many would not? Most people would not. Here is the obvious question: what happened to the principle better to save 5 lives even if it requires sacrificing 1? What happened to the principle that almost everyone supported in the first case? I need to hear from someone who was in the majority in both cases. How do you explain the difference between the two? The second one I think involves a direct decision of pushing a person, which I think that individual otherwise would not have been involved in the situation at all, and so to decide for him, I guess to involve him in something he otherwise would have avoided, is I think more than what you have in the first case, where the 3 parties, the driver and the 2 groups of workers, are already, I think, part of the situation. But the worker, the one on the side track, he did not choose to sacrifice his life any more than the man did he? That is true, but he was on the track. This man was on the bridge. Go ahead, you can return if you want. Alright, it is a difficult question, but you did well, you did very well. It is a difficult question. Who else can find a way of explaining the reaction of the majority in these 2 cases? Yes. Well, I think in the first case, where you have the 1 worker and the 5, it is a choice between them, and you must decide, and people will die because of the trolley, not necessarily because of your direct action. The trolley is already in motion, and you must make a split-second decision, whereas pushing the man off the bridge is a direct act of killing on your part. You have full control over that, whereas you may not have full control over the trolley. So I think it is a somewhat different situation. Alright, who has a response? Is that, who has a response to that? No, that was good. Who has a way? Who wants to respond? Is that a solution to this? I do not think that is a strong reason, because you choose either way. You must decide who dies, because you either decide to turn and kill one person, which is a deliberate action to turn, or you decide to push the man off, which is also a deliberate action. So in either case you are making a decision. Do you want to respond? Well, I am not entirely sure that is true. It still feels different. The act of physically pushing someone onto the track and killing them, you are directly causing his death yourself. You are using your own hands to push him, and that feels different than redirecting something that will cause death into another. You know, it does not really sound right saying it now while I am here. No, that is good. What is your name? Andrew. Andrew, and let me ask you this, Andrew. Suppose standing on the bridge next to the man, I did not have to push him. Suppose he was standing over a trap door that I could open by turning a wheel like that. Would you turn it? For some reason that still feels more wrong. I mean, maybe if you accidentally leaned into the wheel or something like that, or say that the trolley is heading toward a switch that would open the trap, then I could agree with that. Fair enough. It still feels wrong in a way that it does not feel wrong in the first case to turn, you say. In another sense, I mean, in the first situation you are directly involved in the situation, in the second one you are also an observer. So you have the option of getting involved or not by pushing the man. Let us set aside this case for the moment. That is good, but let us imagine a different case. This time you are a doctor in an emergency room and 6 patients arrive. They have been in a terrible trolley accident. 5 of them have moderate injuries. 1 is critically injured. You could spend the entire day treating the 1 critically injured patient, but during that time the 5 would die. Or you could treat the 5, restore them to health, but during that time the 1 critically injured patient would die. How many would save the 5 now as the doctor? How many would save the 1? Very few people, just a small number of people. Same reasoning, I assume, 1 life versus 5. Now consider another doctor scenario. This time you are a transplant surgeon and you have 5 patients, each in urgent need of an organ transplant to survive. 1 needs a heart, 1 a lung, 1 a kidney, 1 a liver, and the 5th a pancreas. And you have no organ donors. You are about to watch them die, and then it occurs to you that in the next room there is a healthy man who came in for a routine checkup. And he is you like that, and he is resting. You could go in very quietly. Pulling out 5 organs from 1 person would kill them, yet it could save 5 others. Who would actually do it? Anyone willing? Raise your hands if you would. Anyone up in the balcony? You would? Careful, don't lean too far. Now, how many wouldn't? Alright, speak up, those of you who said you would remove the organs. Why? I'd like to suggest an alternative. Instead of killing 1 healthy person, what if we waited until 1 of the 5 patients dies naturally, then use that person's 4 healthy organs to save the remaining 4? That's an interesting suggestion, a clever one, but it sidesteps the philosophical dilemma. Let's step back from these scenarios and notice how the arguments have developed. Certain moral ideas are already beginning to surface. One principle suggests that the right action depends entirely on the outcome. In other words, if 5 people survive at the cost of 1 life, that outcome seems better. This is called consequentialist moral reasoning, where morality is judged based on results. However, when we considered other examples, many people hesitated. They didn't want to push a man off a bridge or harvest organs from an innocent patient, even if it would save more lives. Their reasoning wasn't about outcomes, it was about the nature of the act itself. Many felt that killing an innocent person is simply wrong, regardless of the consequences. This introduces a second approach, categorical moral reasoning, where morality is based on absolute duties and rights. Over time, we'll explore the contrast between these 2 perspectives. One of the most influential forms of consequentialist thinking is utilitarianism, developed by Jeremy Bentham. On the other hand, the most prominent thinker behind categorical ethics is Immanuel Kant. We'll examine both approaches, along with others. In this course, we'll read works by great philosophers like Aristotle, John Locke, John Stuart Mill, and more. But we won't just study theory, we'll apply these ideas to real-world issues such as equality, free speech, and justice. The goal is to connect philosophy to everyday life and politics. However, a warning is necessary. Studying philosophy in this way carries risks. It challenges what you already believe and forces you to question assumptions. Philosophy doesn't just give new answers, it makes familiar ideas feel unfamiliar. And once you begin to see things differently, you can't go back. Self-knowledge can be unsettling, but it's also deeply engaging. There are also political risks. You might expect that studying philosophy will make you a better citizen. It might, but not immediately. Sometimes it can make you more uncertain or critical before it improves your judgment. Philosophy creates distance from accepted norms, and that can feel uncomfortable. This concern goes back to Socrates. In one dialogue, his friend Callicles warns him that too much philosophy can ruin a person. He advises him to focus on practical life instead. And in some ways, he had a point. Philosophy disrupts beliefs. Faced with this discomfort, people often turn to skepticism, the idea that these questions can't be answered. If great thinkers haven't resolved them, why should we try? But that's an evasion. These questions persist because they are unavoidable. We confront them in our daily lives, whether we realize it or not. Immanuel Kant once said that skepticism may be a resting place for reason, but it cannot be a permanent home. We cannot simply give up on moral reflection. The purpose of this exploration is not to provide easy answers, but to awaken critical thinking and see where it leads. Now consider a real case, a 19th-century legal case involving sailors stranded at sea. After days without food or water, they killed and ate a young cabin boy to survive. When rescued, they were put on trial. The question wasn't just legal, it was moral. Was their action justified by necessity? Some argue yes. In extreme situations, survival justifies such actions. Others argue no, killing an innocent person is always wrong, no matter the circumstances. Some suggest that consent or a fair lottery might make a difference. But even then, many feel it would still be wrong. This case forces us to confront difficult questions. Is morality about outcomes or principles? Does consent make an immoral act acceptable? Are there some actions that are always wrong?